Welcome to ZenLight 8. What if everything you've been chasing, success, love, a perfect life, was built on beliefs that no longer serve you? After 60 years of life's ups and downs, I've uncovered a truth that changes everything. The key to happiness isn't out there. It's already within you. In this video, we're shattering outdated myths about success, relationships, and aging, revealing how letting go can lead to a more authentic, vibrant life. Ready to rethink what really matters? Let's dive in. 1. Happiness doesn't come from external success. Picture this: you're standing at the top of a mountain you've spent years climbing. The view is breathtaking. Your bank account is flush, your job title sparkles with prestige, and your home could grace the cover of a magazine. Society would slap a gold star on your forehead and call you a success. But as the wind whips around you, there's a hollow ache in your chest. You've arrived, but you don't feel there. The happiness you were promised. The one tied to the applause, the paycheck, the shiny car, feels like a mirage shimmering just out of reach. After 60 years of chasing, stumbling, and reflecting, I've learned a truth that flips the script. Happiness isn't found in external success. It's not in the things we accumulate or the titles we wear. It's in the quiet, steady peace that blooms when we stop looking outside ourselves and start embracing who we are. Let's rewind the tape. From the moment we're old enough to understand words, we're handed a rulebook for life. Get good grades, they say. Land a high-paying job. Buy a big house. Climb that corporate ladder until your knuckles are raw and your name is etched on a corner office door. These are the yardsticks of success society thrusts into our hands, telling us to measure our worth against them. And we do. We run the race, eyes fixed on the finish line, believing that when we cross it, we'll finally feel whole. But what happens when you get there and the finish line moves? Or worse, when you realize the prize isn't what you thought it would be? Think about it. How many times have you scrolled through social media, bombarded by curated snapshots of other people's lives? Vacations in Bali, promotions at work, gleaming new kitchens, and felt a pang of inadequacy. How often have you sat through family dinners where the conversation turns to who's earning what or who's achieved more, leaving you silently tallying your own scorecard? We're conditioned to believe that happiness is a reward for checking society's boxes. But here's the kicker. Those boxes were never designed to hold our joy. They're flimsy, built on shifting sands of expectation, and they collapse under the weight of real life. Consider the stories we hear all the time. The CEO who's got the penthouse, the private jet, and the magazine covers, yet confesses to sleepless nights and a gnawing emptiness. The movie star with adoring fans and a mansion in the hills, battling addiction behind closed doors. These aren't rare exceptions. They're glaring neon signs that external success doesn't deliver the fulfillment we're promised. Why? Because the things we chase, money, status, recognition, are fleeting. They're external markers, subject to the whims of circumstance, opinion, and time. A fat bank account can dwindle in a recession. A prestigious job can vanish with a layoff. Applause fades the moment the curtain drops. If we pin our happiness to these things, we're building a house on quicksand. But let's bring it closer to home. Maybe you've felt this too. Maybe you've spent years grinding toward a goal, a promotion, a dream house, a certain lifestyle, only to reach it and wonder, is this it? I remember a time in my own life when I thought a bigger paycheck would solve everything. I worked late nights, skipped weekends with friends, and pushed myself to the brink for that next rung on the ladder. When I finally got it, the raise came, the title changed, and for a fleeting moment I felt victorious. But within weeks, the shine wore off. The stress was still there, the hours were longer, and that spark of joy I'd expected? Nowhere to be found. It was like chasing a ghost. Every time I thought I'd caught it, it slipped through my fingers. That's the trap of external success. It's a treadmill that keeps speeding up, demanding more effort just to stay in place. Society tells us to keep running, to keep accumulating, because the next achievement will finally do the trick. But here's the radical truth I've come to after 6 decades. Happiness isn't a prize you win. It's not a destination you arrive at after collecting enough trophies. It's a state of being, cultivated from within, rooted in self-acceptance and inner peace. And the moment you realize that, everything shifts. So what does this mean in practice? If happiness doesn't come from external success, where do we find it? Let's flip the lens. Imagine waking up each day not asking, what do I need to achieve today to feel good? But instead, who do I want to be today? Picture a life where your worth isn't tied to your resume or your net worth, but to the way you treat yourself and others, the passions you nurture, the moments you savor. This isn't about rejecting ambition or tossing out goals. It's about redefining what those goals are for. It's about chasing what lights you up inside, not what looks good on paper. Take a step back and think about the times you've felt truly happy. I'd bet they weren't always tied to a paycheck or a pat on the back. Maybe it was a quiet morning with a cup of coffee, watching the sunrise paint the sky. Maybe it was a belly laugh with a friend who gets you, no pretense needed. Or maybe it was that moment you finished something. A painting, a poem, a garden bed, not for applause, but because it felt right in your soul. Those are the threads of real happiness, woven from the fabric of who you are, not what you've done. But here's where it gets tricky. Letting go of society's definition of success isn't easy. It's a belief system baked into us from childhood, reinforced by every billboard, every hustle harder mantra, every well-meaning nudge from people who think they know what's best. It takes courage to step off that treadmill, to look around and say, I don't need to run this race anymore. And it takes even more courage to face the inevitable pushback. People will question you. Why aren't you aiming higher? They'll ask. Don't you want more? They won't understand that more doesn't mean bigger. It means deeper. I've seen this play out in my own circle. A friend of mine spent 30 years climbing the corporate ladder, racking up titles and bonuses, only to retire early and trade it all for a small cabin in the woods. People called him crazy. You're throwing it all away, they said. But when I visited him last year, I saw a man at peace, chopping wood, tending a garden, smiling more than I'd ever seen him in his suit and tie days. He wasn't rich by society's standards anymore, but he was rich in a way that mattered. He liked the person he saw in the mirror. He'd stopped chasing external validation and started living for himself. That's the shift I'm talking about. It's not about abandoning responsibility or shunning hard work. It's about asking, who am I doing this for? If the answer is everyone else, it's time to rethink. True happiness comes when your actions align with your values, not society's checklist. It's about building a life that feels authentic, even if it doesn't match the glossy image on the magazine cover. Let's break this down further. What are these external markers we're taught to chase? Money's a big one. We're told it buys happiness, or at least the stuff that's supposed to make us happy. But studies show that beyond a certain point, enough to cover basics and live comfortably, more money doesn't equal more joy. It might buy a bigger TV, but it won't fill the silence when you're watching it alone. Then there's status. That corner office, that fancy title. They're badges we wear to prove we've made it. But how often do they come with burnout, stress, and a nagging sense that something's still missing? Recognition's another culprit. We crave the applause, the likes, the nods of approval. But external validation is a drug. It feels good for a moment, then leaves you hungry for the next hit. I've had moments where I basked in praise for something I'd done, only to crash when the spotlight moved on. It's a shaky foundation for happiness because it's out of your control. People's opinions shift. Trends fade. What's hot today is forgotten tomorrow. Now, contrast that with internal fulfillment. Self-acceptance doesn't need a paycheck. Peace doesn't care about your job title. Contentment doesn't vanish when the crowd stops clapping. These are things you carry with you, unshaken by the storms of life. They're the quiet strength that lets you weather a bad day, a lost job, a broken dream. Not because you've got it all figured out, but because you know who you are beneath it all. So how do we get there? How do we untangle ourselves from the web of external success and find that inner peace? It starts with small, intentional steps. First, question the script. When you feel the urge to chase something, a raise, a status symbol, a better life, pause and ask, why do I want this? Is it for me or for someone else's approval? If the answer's the latter, give yourself permission to let it go. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Next, redefine success on your terms. What does it look like for you? Maybe it's having time to read the books you love. Maybe it's mastering a skill just for the joy of it. Maybe it's being the kind of parent, friend, or partner you're proud of. Write it down. Make it yours. Let it be a compass that guides you, not a checklist that judges you. Then practice gratitude, not the forced kind, but the real, messy kind. Look at your life and find the pieces that already spark joy, even if they're small. The way the light hits your kitchen table. The sound of your dog's paws on the floor. The friend who calls just to check in. These aren't grand achievements, but they're anchors for happiness that don't depend on a promotion or a bank balance. And finally, embrace imperfection. You don't have to have it all together to be happy. You don't need the perfect career, the perfect house, the perfect anything. Happiness isn't perfection. It's presence. It's showing up for your life as it is, not as you think it should be, and finding beauty in the cracks. I'll leave you with this. After 60 years, I've learned that the greatest gift you can give yourself is freedom. Freedom from society's expectations. Freedom from the endless chase. Freedom to be exactly who you are. External success might glitter, but it's a hollow shell. True happiness? It's the warm, steady glow that comes from within, lighting your path no matter where life takes you. So stop running. Look inside. The treasure you've been searching for has been there all along. 2. Redefining success. Imagine standing in the middle of a crowded room, lights flashing, voices buzzing, everyone clamoring to tell you what success looks like. It's the corner office, one shouts. It's the six-figure salary, another insists. It's the big house, the fancy car, the name in lights. They all chime in. For years, I listened. I nodded along, chasing those glittering prizes like a moth drawn to a flame, believing that if I could just grab one, anyone, I'd finally feel like I'd made it. But after 60 years of running that race, I've stopped to catch my breath and ask a question that changes everything. What if success isn't about what you have, but who you are? What if it's not measured by the size of your bank account or the height of your status, but by the depth of your peace, the fire of your passion, and the alignment of your life with what truly matters to you? Let's peel back the layers. From the time we're kids, we're handed a blueprint for success that's been photocopied a million times over. It's a one-size-fits-all plan, stamped with society's seal of approval. Work hard, earn big, climb high. We're taught that success is a trophy case. Fill it with money, titles, and possessions, and you've won the game. I bought into it hook, line, and sinker. I spent decades measuring my worth by the numbers on my paycheck, the square footage of my home, the nods of approval from people who didn't even know me. And every time I added a new trophy to the shelf, I'd feel a flicker of pride, followed by a quiet, nagging whisper. Is this all there is? Think about it. How often have you tied your sense of accomplishment to something external? Maybe it was the day you got that promotion, the one you'd been grinding for, only to realize the extra hours and stress outweighed the thrill of the title. Or maybe it was the moment you paid off that dream car, only to find the payments left you strapped and the joy faded faster than the new car smell. We're conditioned to believe that success is a destination, a glittering peak where wealth and status wave like flags of victory. But here's the truth I've uncovered after 6 decades. Those flags are hollow. They flutter in the wind, but they don't fill your soul. Let's look at the evidence. Take a glance at the headlines. Billionaires with private islands who confess to loneliness, celebrities with fame who wrestle with despair, executives with power who trade it all for a simpler life. These aren't anomalies. They're wake-up calls. If success were really about assets and accolades, why do so many who have it all still feel empty? It's because wealth can buy a mansion, but not a home. Status can earn you a seat at the table, but not a sense of belonging. Recognition can light up a stage, but it can't warm the quiet corners of your heart. These things are external, they shift, they fade, they depend on forces beyond your control. And anything that fragile can't be the foundation of true success. So what is success, if not the stuff we're told to chase? Here's where the magic happens. It's living in alignment with your values, pursuing what sets your spirit ablaze, and finding a balance that lets you breathe easy at the end of the day. It's not about how much you own, but how much you are. It's waking up in the morning and feeling proud of the person you're becoming, not just the resume you're building. It's daring to redefine the game on your own terms, even when the world calls you crazy for it. Let's break that down. First, living according to your values. What matters to you really matters. Not what your parents wanted, not what your friends expect, not what the ads on TV scream at you, but what you hold dear. For some, it's family. Being there for the messy, beautiful chaos of raising kids or growing old with a partner. For others, it's creativity. Pouring their heart into art, music, or words that leave a mark. For me, it's authenticity, showing up as myself, flaws and all, without a mask to hide behind. Your values are your North Star. They don't bend with the latest trends or buckle under peer pressure. When your life reflects them, you feel grounded, no matter what storms blow through. I'll give you an example. A few years back, I met a woman named Clara at a community event. She'd spent 25 years as a lawyer, raking in a hefty salary, living in a house with more rooms than she could count. By society's standards, she was a roaring success. But she told me something that stuck. I was miserable. I hated the suits, the deadlines, the pretending. I kept going because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. One day, she quit. She sold the house, moved to a small town, and opened a bakery. Not because it paid big, but because she loved the smell of dough rising, the smiles of her customers, the rhythm of a life that felt like hers. People called her reckless. She called it freedom. Today, she's not rich in dollars, but she's rich in joy. That's success redefined. Next, pursuing passion. Think about the last time you lost yourself in something, not for a paycheck or applause, but because it lit you up inside. Maybe it was gardening, coaxing life from the soil with your own hands. Maybe it was playing guitar, strumming chords that echoed your mood. Maybe it was teaching a kid to ride a bike, watching their wobbly triumph turn into a grin. Passion isn't about being the best. It's about feeling alive. And when you weave it into your life, success stops being a trophy and starts being a heartbeat. I've seen this in my own journey. For years, I thought success meant climbing the ladder in a career I didn't love. I was good at it, sure, but it felt like wearing someone else's shoes, pinched and awkward. Then, in my 50s, I picked up a paintbrush for the first time since I was a kid. I wasn't Picasso, but the colors on the canvas spoke to me in a way spreadsheets never did. I started painting not to sell, not to impress, but because it was mine. Hours melted away, and with every stroke, I felt more like myself. It wasn't a job or a status symbol. It was a passion that brought me balance. And that, I realized, was worth more than any corner office. Finally, finding inner balance. This is the glue that holds it all together. Balance isn't about having it all. It's about having enough of what matters. It's knowing when to push and when to rest, when to dream big and when to savor small. It's the peace that settles in when you stop comparing your life to everyone else's highlight reel and start living it on your own terms. Balance doesn't mean perfection. It means harmony. And when you find it, success feels less like a race and more like a dance. But here's the catch. Redefining success isn't a one-and-done deal. It's a rebellion against a world that's hell-bent on keeping you in line. Society doesn't like it when you rewrite the rules. People will raise eyebrows. You're not ambitious enough, they'll say. Why settle for less? They'll prod. They won't get that less isn't the point, more is just not the kind they're selling. More authenticity, more joy, more you. It takes guts to shrug off the script and carve your own path, but the reward is a life that fits like a glove, not a straitjacket. So how do you start? Step 1, get quiet. Tune out the noise, the ads, the opinions, the shoulds, and listen to yourself. What do you value? What stirs your soul? Write it down, raw and unfiltered. Step 2, test the waters. Dip your toe into something you've always wanted to try, no stakes attached. A cooking class, a hike, a journal page. See how it feels to chase a spark instead of a paycheck. Step 3, let go. Shed one thing, one goal, one expectation that's weighing you down because it's not yours. Watch how light you feel without it. I'll leave you with a story. My Uncle Joe was a factory worker for 40 years. By society's measure, he was average, steady job, modest house, no headlines. But Joe loved tinkering with old radios, fixing them up in his garage until they crackled to life. He'd spend hours there, not for money, but for the thrill of it. When he passed, his kids didn't talk about his salary or his title. They talked about his laugh, his patience, the way he'd beam when a radio hummed again. Joe didn't have wealth or status, but he had a life rich with purpose. That's success I'd take over $1 million any day. Redefining success isn't about rejecting the world. It's about reclaiming your place in it. It's trading the hollow glitter of assets for the steady glow of a life well lived. After 60 years, I've learned this. The truest victory isn't what you stack up, but what you stand for. So ask yourself, what's your success? Not society's, not your neighbor's, but yours. Find it, chase it, live it, because when you do, you'll realize the prize was never out there. It was in you all along. 3. The myth of the perfect relationship. Picture this. A candlelit dinner, soft music playing, two people gazing into each other's eyes with a love so pure it could melt the stars. They never argue, never falter, always know exactly what the other needs. It's the stuff of movies. The fairy tales were fed from the cradle. The promise of the perfect relationship, the one where you find the one and live happily ever after. For years, I bought into it. I scanned every room, every date, every fleeting connection, searching for that flawless soulmate who'd complete me. But after 60 years of loving, losing, and learning, I've seen through the mirage. There's no such thing as a perfect partner or a flawless love. True love isn't a polished diamond you stumble upon. It's a rough stone you carve together, growing through the cracks, embracing the flaws, and holding each other up when the world shakes. And that, I've found, is infinitely more beautiful. Let's start at the beginning. We're raised on a diet of romantic myths. Princes rescuing princesses, couples riding off into sunsets, love stories where every conflict wraps up in a neat little bow by the end credits. Society hands us a checklist. Your perfect partner should be charming, successful, endlessly supportive, and, above all, free of faults. They should fit into your life like a puzzle piece, filling every gap, smoothing every edge. And if they don't, well, you must not have found the one yet. Keep looking, they say. The right person's out there, waiting to make your life a fairy tale. So we search, we swipe, we hope, holding every relationship up to this impossible standard, wondering why it never quite measures up. But here's the question that stopped me cold. What if the perfect relationship isn't real? What if chasing it is the very thing keeping us from the love we're meant to have? Think about it. How many times have you met someone amazing, kind, funny, full of life, only to let them slip away because they didn't tick every box? Maybe they had a temper or a quirky habit or a dream that didn't perfectly align with yours. So you moved on, convinced the real soulmate was still out there, flawless and waiting. I've been there. I've walked away from good people because they weren't perfect, only to realize later that perfection was never the point. Let's paint a picture. Imagine you're on a date. Their great, warm smile, sharp wit, a laugh that makes you feel at home. But then they spill their drink, or admit they're not sure what they want out of life, or disagree with you on something small. Suddenly, that fairy tale filter flickers. This isn't it, you think. The one wouldn't mess up like that. But what if that spill, that uncertainty, that disagreement isn't a flaw to reject, but a thread to weave into something real? What if the messiness is where love actually lives? The myth of the perfect relationship sets us up for a fall. It tells us love should be effortless, that a true partner will never challenge us, never let us down. But real life doesn't work that way. People are human, beautifully, frustratingly human. They forget anniversaries. They get cranky after a long day. They carry baggage just like you do. And expecting them to be anything else is a recipe for disappointment. I've seen it play out too many times. Friends cycling through partners, always chasing that flawless ideal, only to end up alone, wondering why love keeps slipping through their fingers. The problem isn't the people they meet. It's the lens they're looking through. Take my friend Sarah. She spent her 30s and 40s hunting for the perfect guy. Tall, handsome, ambitious, the whole package. She'd date someone for a few months, then drop them when the cracks showed. He wasn't supportive enough, she'd say, or he didn't get me. By her 50s, she was exhausted, convinced love wasn't in the cards. Then she met Tom. He was a widower, a little rough around the edges, with a sarcastic streak and a habit of leaving dishes in the sink. Not perfect by any stretch, but he listened when she talked, pushed her to chase her dreams, and stuck around when she hit a rough patch. They fought, they laughed, they grew. Today, she calls him her rock, not because he's flawless, but because he's real. That's when it clicked for me. Love isn't about finding perfection. It's about building something true. So what's the alternative? If there's no perfect partner, no fairy tale ending, what does real love look like? Here's the heart of it. True love is about growing together, accepting imperfections, and supporting each other through the chaos of life. It's not a static snapshot. It's a living, breathing journey. It's two people, flawed and fumbling, choosing to walk side by side, not because they're complete on their own, but because they're better together. Growth is the first piece. Relationships aren't meant to freeze you in place. They're meant to stretch you, shape you, help you become more than you were. Think about the best partnerships you've seen, maybe your grandparents or a couple you admire. They didn't stay the same over the years. They evolved. They faced storms, money troubles, health scares, kids who tested their patience and came out stronger. That's love's real magic. It's a crucible, refining you both. I remember my own marriage, early days when we'd clash over little things, where to spend holidays, how to split chores. But every argument, every compromise, taught us something. We grew into each other, not out of each other. That's not perfection. That's progress. Then there's accepting imperfections. This is where the fairy tale crumbles and the real story begins. No one's flawless. Not you, not me, not the person you love most. And that's not a flaw in the system, it's the feature. Imperfections are what make us human, what give love its texture. My partner forgets to text back sometimes. I'm stubborn as a mule when I'm wrong. We're a mess of quirks and missteps, but we've learned to laugh at it, to lean into it. When you stop hunting for someone who never screws up, you start seeing the beauty in the one who shows up anyway. It's not about ignoring flaws. It's about loving through them. And finally, mutual support. True love isn't about finding someone to fix you or fill your gaps. It's about standing together, lifting each other up. It's the hand that steadies you when you stumble, the voice that says, "You've got this," even when you doubt it. I think of my friend Mike, whose wife stuck by him when he lost his job. She didn't swoop in with solutions. She just sat with him, listened, believed in him until he believed in himself again. That's not a fairy tale, it's better. It's real partnership, the kind that weathers life's messiest moments. But here's the twist. This kind of love starts with you. You can't wait for the right person to show up and make it happen. You have to become the right person yourself. What does that mean? It means growing into someone who's open to change, who can handle imperfection in yourself and others, who's willing to give as much as you take. It's shedding the pressure to be someone's everything and instead aiming to be their teammate. I've spent years unlearning the idea that love completes me. It doesn't. Compliments me, challenges me, walks with me, and that shift changes everything. Let's get practical. How do you let go of the perfect relationship myth and embrace this truer version? Start by tossing the checklist. Stop sizing people up against an imaginary ideal, height, job, charm, and start asking, do they show up? Do they care? Do we grow together? Next, get comfortable with the mess. Love isn't a straight line. It's a scribble. Expect the bumps, fights, doubts, bad days, and see them as chances to deepen, not deal breakers. And finally, focus on the journey, not the destination. Stop waiting for happily ever after and start building happy right now. Moment by moment, choice by choice. I'll leave you with this. After 60 years, I've learned that the most breathtaking love stories aren't the ones where nothing goes wrong. They're the ones where everything does, and two people keep choosing each other anyway. True love isn't finding the perfect person. It's growing with an imperfect one, accepting their cracks as they accept yours, and holding each other up through it all. So let go of the fairy tale. The real thing's messier, harder, and 1,000 times more worth it. What's your next chapter going to look like? 4. The power of embracing change. Imagine you're standing at the edge of a river, its waters rushing past in a relentless dance of motion. For years, you've built your life on its banks. Sturdy walls, familiar routines, a world you've shaped to feel safe and predictable. Now, the current shifts. The river bends in a new direction, and the ground beneath you trembles. Change is here, uninvited, threatening to upend everything you've known. Your first instinct is to dig in, to cling tighter to what's familiar. But after 60 years of watching that river flow, I've learned a secret that turns fear into freedom. Change isn't something to resist. It's something to embrace. It's not a thief stealing your comfort. It's a guide leading you to growth. And here's the mind-blowing part. Your brain, no matter your age, is wired to adapt, to learn, to evolve. Change isn't your enemy. It's your superpower. Let's rewind. We're taught early on that stability is the goal. Settle down, find your groove, lock it in. Change? That's the monster under the bed. Unpredictable, disruptive, a signal that something's gone wrong. By the time we hit our 60s, that belief calcifies. I'm too old to switch things up, we tell ourselves. I've built my life. Why mess with it now? I used to think that way too. I'd spent decades carving out a routine. Same job, same habits, same circles. Thinking it was my fortress against chaos. But then life threw curveballs. A career shift, a move, a loss. Each one rattled me, until I realized resisting the shakeup wasn't keeping me safe. It was keeping me stuck. Think about it. How often have you dodged change because it felt too big, too scary? Maybe it was a chance to learn something new. A language, a skill. But you brushed it off, saying, that's for younger folks. Or maybe it was a nudge to rethink your path. Quit a draining job, try a different hobby, but you stayed put, afraid of what you'd lose. We treat change like a storm to weather, not a wind to ride. But what if that storm is clearing the air? What if that wind is lifting you higher? After 6 decades, I've seen it. Change isn't the end of the road. It's a new path opening up. Let's flip the script. Picture your life as that river. When it flows freely, it's alive, fresh, vibrant, carving new channels through the earth. But dam it up, force it to stay still, and what happens? It stagnates. The water clouds, the energy fades. That's what resisting change does to us. We think we're preserving something precious, our comfort, our identity, but we're choking the life out of it. Growth doesn't happen in stillness. It happens in motion. And the wildest part? Science backs this up. Your brain isn't some rigid relic, locked in place after a certain age. It's a living network, buzzing with possibility, thanks to something called neuroplasticity. Let's dive into that. Neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to rewire itself, to build new pathways, adapt to new challenges, no matter how many candles are on your cake. Think of it like a city of roads. For years, you've traveled the same routes, habits, thoughts, ways of being, wearing them deep into the pavement. But here's the kicker, you're not stuck on those roads. Every time you try something new, pick up a guitar, explore a different perspective, step out of your bubble, you're laying down fresh asphalt. The more you travel those new paths, the stronger they get. Studies show this isn't just for kids or 20-somethings. Older adults who embrace new experiences, learning, moving, connecting, keep their minds sharp, their spirits bright. Your brain doesn't care if you're 16 or 60. It's ready to grow. I'll give you an example. My neighbor, Ed, hit 65 and decided he'd had enough of his armchair life. He'd spent years in a predictable loop, work, TV, repeat, convinced his best days were behind him. Then, one day, he signed up for a photography class. He fumbled with the camera at first, grumbled about old dogs and new tricks, but he stuck with it. 6 months later, he was trekking through parks, snapping shots of birds and sunsets. His eyes lit up like a kid's. He told me, "I didn't know I could still learn something like this." That's neuroplasticity in action. His brain built a new road, and it took him somewhere alive. Change didn't shrink his world. It expanded it. But it's not just about the brain, it's about the soul. Embracing change keeps you from fossilizing. Think of the last time you shook things up, tried a new recipe, took a different route home, said yes to something you'd usually dodge. Didn't it wake you up a little? That spark, that jolt of "I'm still here," is what change delivers. Studies back this too. Older adults who lean into new experiences report higher happiness, less stagnation. It's like splashing color onto a gray canvas. Suddenly, life pops. And after 60, when the world expects you to slow down, that vibrancy feels like a rebellion. So why do we fight it? Fear's the big culprit. Change means uncertainty. Letting go of what we know, stepping into the unknown. It's the voice whispering, "What if I fail? What if I lose more than I gain?" I get it. I felt that when I left a steady job in my 50s to try something new. My stomach churned. My mind raced with worst-case scenarios. But looking back, that leap didn't break me. It built me. The fear was loud, but the growth was louder. Change asks us to trade comfort for courage, and that's a tough sell, until you realize comfort's a cage, and courage sets you free. Let's get real. Embracing change doesn't mean flipping your life upside down overnight. It's not about quitting everything or chasing some wild reinvention, unless that's your thing. It's about welcoming the small shifts that ripple into big ones. Take my friend Lisa. At 62, she started walking a new path to work. Not a huge deal, right? But that tweak led her to a little bookstore she'd never noticed. She popped in, grabbed a novel, and got hooked on reading again. Now she's in a book club, making friends, lighting up in ways she hadn't in years. One change sparked a chain reaction. That's the power. It's subtle, then it's seismic. So how do you harness it? Start small. Pick one thing you've resisted, a new habit, a fresh perspective, and dip your toe in. Maybe it's swapping your morning scroll for a podcast, or trying yoga instead of saying, "I'm too stiff." Feel that flicker of excitement? That's your brain waking up, your spirit stretching. Next, reframe the fear. When change knocks, don't ask, "What could go wrong?" Ask, "What could go right?" Picture the possibilities, new skills, new joys, new yous. And finally, trust the science. Your brain's got your back. It's not too old, too tired, too anything. It's ready to adapt, to thrive, if you give it the chance. I'll share a story that sealed this for me. My dad, at 70, was a creature of habit. Same breakfast, same chair, same grumble about the world changing too fast. Then my mom passed, and his routine cracked open. He could have dug in, clung to the past. Instead, he surprised us all. He joined a community garden. He'd never grown a thing in his life, but there he was, dirt under his nails, chatting with folks half his age, coaxing tomatoes from the earth. He'd come home beaming, saying, "I didn't know I had it in me." Change didn't bury him. It brought him back to life. He's 78 now, still planting, still growing, proof that it's never too late to bloom. That's the beauty of embracing change after 60. You're not starting from scratch, you're building on a lifetime of wisdom. Every scar, every lesson, every triumph is fuel for the journey. Change doesn't erase that, it amplifies it. Maybe you'll pick up painting and turn it into a second act. Maybe you'll travel somewhere you've only dreamed of, soaking in sights that rewire your soul. Or maybe you'll just tweak your days. New conversations, new flavors, and feel the world widen. The point isn't the size of the shift, it's the spark it ignites. Here's the truth. Change is the only constant. The world spins, seasons turn, life moves. Fighting it is like swimming against that river. You'll tire out before it does. But lean into it, let it carry you, and you'll find it's not dragging you under. It's lifting you up. After 60 years, I've learned this. Change isn't a threat to who you are. It's a chance to become more of it. Your brain's ready, your spirit's waiting. So what's one change you've been dodging? What's one step you could take today? Take it. The river's flowing, jump in. You'll be amazed where it takes you. 5. The importance of a quality social circle. Imagine your life as a garden. A sprawling patch of earth where every relationship you've ever had takes root. Some plants shoot up fast, bright and loud, demanding attention with their shallow roots. Others grow slowly, quietly, sinking deep into the soil, steady and strong. For years, I tended that garden without much thought, letting it fill with whatever sprouted. Old co-workers, casual acquaintances, friends of friends, believing that more was better. A busy social calendar, a phone full of contacts, a crowd at every party. That's what a rich life looked like, right? But after 60 years of watering that plot, I've learned a truth that's reshaped my world. It's not the size of your garden that matters. It's the quality of what grows there. A small, curated circle of people who lift you up, challenge you, and inspire you beats 1,000 shallow connections every time. That's the soil where personal growth and happiness bloom. Let's step back. We live in a world obsessed with quantity. More followers, more likes, more names in your orbit. From the playground to the boardroom, we're taught that a big social network is a badge of success. Look how popular she is. We say, scrolling through someone's Instagram, counting their friends like points on a scoreboard. I fell for it too. I collected relationships like souvenirs. High school buddies I barely knew anymore. Colleagues I nodded to in the hall. Neighbors I waved at but never really talked to. My life was full of voices, but when I stopped to listen, I realized how few of them mattered. The noise was loud, but the meaning was thin. Think about your own garden for a minute. How many of those plants, the people you call friends, truly feed your soul? How many show up when the skies darken, push you to be better, or leave you feeling lighter after a conversation? And how many are just there, taking up space, draining your energy, offering little more than small talk or nostalgia? After 6 decades, I've seen it. Quantity doesn't equal quality. 100 shallow roots won't hold you steady in a storm, but a handful of deep ones will. And when you're over 60, with time and energy more precious than ever, you can't afford to waste water on weeds. Let's paint a picture. You're at a party, music blaring, drinks clinking, a dozen familiar faces swirling around. You laugh, you chat, you keep the small talk humming. But when you leave, there's an ache, an emptiness that lingers. Compare that to a quiet coffee with one friend. The kind who asks how you're really doing, who listens without scrolling their phone, who nudges you toward a dream you've shelved. Which feels richer, which leaves you fuller. That's the difference between a crowd and a circle. One's a performance, the other's a lifeline. The science backs this up too. Studies show that strong, meaningful relationships, quality over quantity, boost happiness, health, even longevity. It's called emotional contagion. We soak up the vibes of the people closest to us. Surround yourself with negativity, complainers, cynics, energy vampires, and you'll feel it seep into your bones. But plant yourself among optimists, dreamers, supporters, and you'll catch their light. Think of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Are they growing, inspiring, lifting? Or are they stuck, draining, pulling? Your garden reflects who you're becoming. It's that simple, that powerful. I'll give you a story. My friend Paul hit 60 and took stock of his social life. He had dozens of buddies, guys from work, old college pals, golf partners. His weekends were packed, his phone always buzzing. But when his marriage hit a rough patch, he called around, looking for a shoulder. Most offered a quick "that sucks" or a beer to drown it out surface stuff. Then he reached out to Jim, a quiet guy he'd known for years but never leaned on. Jim showed up, sat with him for hours, asked the hard questions, shared his own struggles. Paul said it was like a fog lifting. He hadn't realized how alone he'd felt in a sea of shallow ties. Jim wasn't flashy, wasn't loud, but he was there. One deep root outshone a forest of thin ones. That's the shift I'm talking about. Curating your circle. It's not about cutting people out with a cold shoulder. It's about choosing who gets your time, your heart, your energy. It's recognizing that not every plant belongs in your garden. Not because they're bad, but because they don't fit the life you're growing into. After 60, you've earned that clarity. You know what you value, what you need, who you want to be. Why waste space on relationships that don't align with that? So what makes a quality circle? First, support. These are the people who don't just cheer your wins. They hold you up through the losses. They're there with a shovel when you're buried, not just a trophy when you're on top. I think of my friend Anna, who called every day when I was sidelined by surgery. Not to fix me, but to remind me I wasn't alone. That's gold. Second, inspiration. The best friends don't let you coast. They nudge you forward. My buddy Mark, a writer, once read my half-baked story and said, "Finish it. You've got something here." His push got me past the doubt. Third, authenticity. These are the ones you don't have to perform for, no masks, no pretending. With them, you're just you, and that's enough. But curating isn't easy. It means tough calls, setting boundaries, fading from draining ties, saying no to guilt-driven shoulds. I had a friend from way back, great guy, but every chat was a gripe fest. Work stinks, life's unfair, rinse, repeat. I'd leave those calls heavier, not lighter. So I pulled back. Not a dramatic cut, just less time, more space. It felt selfish at first, but then I noticed. I had more energy for the people who filled me up. That's not betrayal. It's pruning. You're not tossing people away. You're tending your garden so the good stuff thrives. And here's the flip side. A quality circle leaves room for new growth. Sticking to the same old faces can calcify you. Same stories, same ruts. But after 60, opening up to fresh connections keeps you green. I met a woman, Claire, at a cooking class last year. She's 70, sharp as a tack, with a laugh that could wake a coma patient. We bonded over burnt soufflés, and now she's one of my rocks. Proof that new roots can sink deep, even late in the game. A curated circle isn't closed. It's dynamic, balancing the tried and true with the new and true. Let's get practical. How do you build this? Step 1, take inventory. Look at your people, who lifts you, who drags you. Be honest. Step 2, invest. Reach out to the keepers, call, meet, deepen. Don't wait for them to make the move. Step 3, prune. Ease off the shallow or toxic ties. Fewer texts, less guilt. Step 4, stay open. Say yes to a new face, a neighbor, a class buddy, and see where it goes. Small steps, big blooms. I'll leave you with this. My Aunt Rose turned 80 last month. Her party wasn't a mob scene, just 10 people. A tight crew who'd walked her through decades. Kids born, jobs lost, hearts broken, dreams chased. They toasted her not with flashy gifts, but with stories. How she'd inspired them, held them, grown with them. Her garden's small, but it's lush. After 60 years, I've learned that's the real wealth. Not how many show up, but who stays. A quality circle doesn't just surround you. It shapes you, grows you, keeps you alive. So look at your garden. What needs tending? What needs space? Start there. The harvest will stun you. 6. A compass for life after 60. Imagine you're holding a map, creased, worn, scribbled with the routes you've traveled for decades. It's guided you through milestones. Jobs landed, families built, dreams chased, and for years, you've followed its lines, trusting they'd lead you to where you're meant to be. But now, at 60, you unfold it and see something new. The paths don't look right anymore. The landmarks society swore by, wealth, status, perfection, feel like faded ink, pointing to destinations that no longer call your name. After 6 decades of navigating by that map, I found a truth that shifts the horizon. Life after 60 isn't about clinging to outdated beliefs or coasting to a finish line. It's about tossing that old map aside, picking up a compass of your own making, and charting a course that's authentic, purposeful, and uniquely yours. This isn't the end. It's a chance to rewrite your story, and the pen's in your hand. Let's rewind the clock. From the moment we're born, we're handed a script, rules etched by family, culture, the world at large. Work hard, climb high, settle down, slow down. By 60, that script says you're supposed to ease into the background. Retire quietly, reminisce, let the spotlight dim. It's a belief so ingrained we don't even question it. Youth is for building, age is for resting. I bought that line for years, picturing my 60s as a soft fade out. Rocking chairs, reruns, a life winding down. But then I hit that mark, and something rebelled inside me. Why should 60 be a curtain call? Why should I live by a story I didn't write? That's when I realized those old beliefs weren't truths, they were shackles. And shedding them was the key to a life that felt alive. Think about it. How many ideas have you carried about success, love, who you're supposed to be, that don't fit anymore? Maybe it's the notion that worth comes from a paycheck, even though you found joy in quieter things. Maybe it's the pressure to keep up appearances, when all you want is to kick off the mask and breathe. Society's script tells us to hold tight to these relics. Don't rock the boat, don't rewrite the rules. But here's the radical truth I've learned after 60 years. You've earned the right to let go. You've paid your dues, weathered the storms, gathered the wisdom. Why not use it to live on your terms, not the world's? Let's peel back those outdated beliefs. Start with success. We've talked about how it's not wealth or titles. It's alignment, passion, peace. But society still whispers, slow down, you've done enough. Why? At 60, you're not spent, you're seasoned. I met a man, Henry, who at 63 ditched his desk job to teach woodworking. People laughed. You're too old to start over. But he's crafting tables now, grinning like a kid, living a success that's his, not theirs. Then there's love. The fairy tale says it's done by now, settled or lost. But I've seen couples at 65 fall deeper, friends at 70 forge new bonds. Love doesn't retire, it ripens. And change? The script calls it a threat. Stay put, stay safe. Yet every shift I've embraced, new places, new pursuits, has cracked me open in the best ways. These old beliefs, they're ghosts. Let them fade. So what replaces them? That's your compass. Authenticity and purpose. Authenticity is living as you, unapologetically. Flaws, quirks, dreams intact. No more bending to fit someone else's mold. 60, you know who you are, why not shout it? I stopped apologizing for my quiet mornings with a book, my messy art projects, my refusal to act my age. It's freedom, raw, real, mine. Purpose is the fuel, knowing your days matter, not because they're loud, but because they're yours to shape. It's not about grand gestures. It's about meaning. For some, it's mentoring a grandkid. For others, it's planting a garden or penning a story. For me, it's this, sharing what I've learned, hoping it lights a spark. Picture life after 60 not as a sunset, but a sunrise. The world expects you to dim, but what if you glow instead? I think of my friend Linda, who at 62 traded her corporate suits for a pottery wheel. She'd never touched clay before, but her hands found a rhythm, and now her shelves brim with bowls she's proud of. Not for sale, just for her. People ask, why now? She shrugs, why not? That's the compass at work. No old rules, just her truth, her purpose. Or take my Uncle Ray, 68, who started volunteering at a shelter. He doesn't save the world, but he saves someone's day, feeding a stray dog, chatting with a lonely soul. Small moves, big heart. That's not an ending. That's a beginning. But here's the catch. Rewriting your story takes guts. Letting go of old beliefs means facing pushback. You're too old for that, they'll say. Stick to what you know. It's noise, tune it out. Living authentically means shedding layers. Guilt, doubt, the need to please. It's raw, sometimes messy, but oh, it's alive. Finding purpose means asking, what matters to me now? Not yesterday, not tomorrow, but today. It's a compass, not a map, no rigid lines, just a direction you choose. And at 60, with a lifetime behind you, that choice is gold. So how do you start? Step 1, question everything. Hold up those old beliefs about age, worth, possibility, and ask, is this still me? If it's not, let it fall. Step 2, listen to yourself. What pulls you, quietly, persistently? A hobby you've shelved, a place you've dreamed of, a cause that stirs you? That's your compass needle twitching. Step 3, act. Take one small swing, sign up for that class, call that friend, plant that seed. Watch it grow. Step 4, own it. Stand tall in your story, even when the world squints. You're not too old, you're too wise to live someone else's script. I'll share a piece of my own rewrite. At 61, I started this journey, Zenlight 8, pouring my lessons into words, hoping they'd reach someone. I'd never been a content creator, never thought my voice mattered past my kitchen table. But something nudged me. Purpose, maybe, and I leapt. It's not polished, not perfect, but it's mine. Every comment, every "this hit me," is a thread tying me to you. That's not winding down, that's winding up. Age 60 didn't close my book. It opened a chapter one didn't know I could write. That's the gift of life after 60. It's yours to redefine. The old map. Success as stuff, love as flawless, change as foe, friends as numbers, fades away. In its place, a compass. Live true, live with heart, let go of what doesn't fit. You're not here to replay the past or shrink into the future. You're here to craft a present that sings. Maybe it's a quiet life, rich with small joys. Maybe it's a bold one, chasing dreams you deferred. Whatever it is, it's not society's call. It's yours. After 60 years, you've got the scars, the smarts, the soul to make it extraordinary. And now, as we close this series, I want to pause and say something from the heart. To every one of you who's walked this path with Zenlight 8 watching, reading, reflecting, thank you. You've been my compass too. Every time you've joined me here, you've fueled this journey, turned my ramblings into a conversation, my lessons into a shared adventure. This channel isn't just mine, it's ours. You've shown up, you've listened, you've dared to rethink with me, and that's a gift I'll carry always. Whether you're 20 or 80, starting fresh or holding steady, know this, your story's still unfolding, and it's yours to write. So take that compass, shed the old, embrace the true, find your purpose, and make it a tale that lights you up. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for being part of Zenlight 8. Here's to the next chapter, yours, mine, ours. Let's make it beautiful.